Morning and welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries, episode 218. I'm Marie. Today, 15th of December, 10 days to go. Are you organised? I'm sort of organised. I think I'm organised. I know, crazy, but I'm organised enough that I have the ultimate in. There we go, Feliz Navidad. What else does a yarn store owner have as a Christmas t-shirt? This, of course. Antlers are on. I'm in the shop again today. I've got Christmas music going. We're getting in the spirit, people. We're getting in the spirit of Christmas. So I hope you're getting in the spirit of Christmas at your place too. And of course, today's Stitchin Summer Day. So we can talk about some really great offers and things that you can do last minute for Christmas to get you in the Christmas spirit. And I've got a couple of patterns that have just dropped in the last day or so that will potentially do that. Good morning, everybody. I'll let everyone come on in. It is... Oh, it's raining here again. I am so over it. I am so over the rain. Oh gosh, it's the funny old thing when you live in one of the warmest, driest parts of the country. When you have all of this rain, I have to say, the countryside looks beautiful. I have never seen Hawke's Bay so verdant at this time of year. It really is quite eye-capturing with the green lush hills, and the putakawas are all flowering, and the jacarandas are incredible. It just looks amazing. But it is, again, grey and hot and well, not super hot, but definitely wet, and it is just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But we can't complain, can we really? I mean, we have summertime for Christmas, so how can we complain at that? It's amazing, right? Whereas I hear it's the complete opposite in the UK. Big fat flaky snow in London in December, which is highly unusual. It's just weird. It's crazy. But it's welcome to winter/summer, right? There you go. We've actually had a great week this week in store. You guys loved the mail on Tuesday. We had on Stitchin Summer. And of course, today is Sockmatician Edition. Look at that. We love our Sockmatician Edition. For those who are not familiar with Sockmatician Edition, it is a range of colours that we developed with Nathan Taylor, aka the Sockmatician. So for those who aren't familiar with Nathan, that is the brand name that he goes by in terms of his pattern design. He started out designing a lot of socks. He has now actually he has become the world of knitting's most preeminent expert in double knitting, and I mean double knitting, capital D and little d and little k, as in double-sided fabric. And he's also actually created a technique for triple knitting as well, and he's been working on a book for the last few years. So we developed this with him, and it's a full range of, it started off with the rainbow colors, all in these beautiful soft monotones. There we go. And we now have thrown a couple of extra colors in, this being one of them, this lovely jade green and a pink. And this yarn has been, since its launch, an absolute perennial favorite. It's a recycled yarn made using recycled premium fibers. So what goes in here is merino, rare breed merino, there's a mouthful, Polworth. There could be alpaca. Sometimes there's a hint of mohair in here, but not often. But the one consistent thing is we try to have around 10% possum in here all the time. That's the one consistent factor with this yarn. So on board, you don't necessarily, it's beautiful, soft and squishy. You don't necessarily see the possum on board with 10% in a worsted spin process. However, once it's knitted, you can see, look at that. See that beautiful halo? That is all the possum fur that pops out. And that is the magic of this yarn is once it's worked, the possum fibers come to the surface and you get this lovely downy lush halo. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is the Shift Cowl by Angela Mowry. I understand, actually, those of you who are much more onto it than I am in there, I understand that I did hear a whisper that she has got 25% off all her patterns at the moment because she's having to take a break. So that would be great news, isn't it? Okay, good. Kathy said, I think, is that right, Kathy? Did I hear that right somewhere? So this is one of hers, and this Sockmatician Edition, as you can see, looks amazing in it. And this Heather, this is actually Heather's. She's knitted this, and she loves all these sort of autumnal colors. But you can do them in, oh, thanks, Bev. You can do them in any sort of colors you like, and this is so soft, just so incredibly soft. So perfect for a cowl if you're wanting to do a cowl. We have got this. This is actually done quite recently. This is a sample that we've just had done up to the shop, and it is this gorgeous poncho. Look at that. And this is done in the Gallo colorway, which is this beautiful, beautiful pink. Isn't it gorgeous? This is one of the newer shades. Beautiful pink. And this poncho is called Shimmer. It's part of the Rowan collection, and it is a free pattern download from Rowan, from the Rowan website called Shimmer. And look, it's got all those lovely hearts. That's why we chose the pink, because we thought those hearts, look at that. It looks so sweet. This is a really, really, really lovely garment to wear. And ponchos and wraps are actually have really started coming back to prominence again. I love them. And we've got this one in at the shop, and it's just really pretty. It's just, I love it. And I mean, there is something, again, really luscious and comfortable and lovely about having a wrap or a poncho in a possum yarn. It just feels so good and so comforting and so lovely. So this one's in store. So if you ever come and visit us in store, we have a wide variety of samples which change, wax and wane and change depending on how much of my wardrobe I bring to work. Basically, I obviously don't do all the sample knitting. Delene helps us out quite a bit with the sample knitting, and we have had others over the years. And I obviously do a lot as well. And Heather, she does stuff, and she's the same. So what we tend to do is, those of us, and Claire does it as well, is if we have our own garments that are in our yarns completely 100%, what we'll often do in the off season is that we will bring them in and we give them a depill and spruce them up for the shop, and then we fire them up for samples. And particularly too, I know with my samples, I do that. And it looks a little bit crazy when you see my samples because, of course, they look so massively large in store. But I do that and I bring them in store so those who are a more generous figure can actually try bigger knits on. And I actually had a conversation with a lovely lady. This is a good thing about working in the shop a couple of days this week. A great chat to a really lovely lady on Tuesday, and she was telling me about how she knits sort of for grandchildren and charity, but she never ever knits for herself. And she was a fuller figure lady, and she just said, "Oh no, I don't do it. I don't like. There's no patterns in my size." And I'm like, and she was no, she wasn't larger than I was. Like she was no, and I was like, all right, no. I said, yes, there are. I said, there's heaps. I said, no, I'm going to challenge you. I said, yes, there are. I said, but I get what you're saying, the confidence to knit for yourself. And I did this for years. I knit before I got really good at measuring myself with my hand knits. And we're all like this. This is a journey that we're on. Right? I mean, I didn't get to the level of knowledge that I've got now overnight. There was lots of trial, error, experimentation, tears, frustration to actually get to where I'm at today, right? So I said, look, I understand. I've got garments in my wardrobe and things that I've done that I hate because they're either too big or too small, or I didn't get the length right, the tension's all wrong, the design wasn't a good design for me, all of those sorts of things. But that's all part of why you learn and part of why you come to experts like us. And that's why I keep my samples in the store. So then that way I like to try out and try designs and modifications that work for different people and different body types. So you can actually come in and try them on. And loads of people try on my stuff, and I'm not precious about it. I don't care who tries them on. And it's great, and we've got all samples and all sizes. So we try and have samples from cardigans, small, medium, large, extra large, 3XL. And so not the same design, obviously, but lots of different designs across lots of different size ranges. So there'll be something there that you'll feel comfortable trying on, fitting and knitting. So that's what we do. In the summer is the time that we often have a lot of samples because, of course, we've gone and dug through our wardrobes and bought everything in, and you can try them out. So I don't tend to have the stuff in store that has got loads of modifications or isn't something knitted in our yarn, because I do have plenty of stuff that's not knitted in our yarn, or it's knitted in yarn that's no longer available, because that's just mean, isn't it? Because people will fall in love with it and go, oh, I want to knit this in this yarn. It's like, oh no, we don't make that anymore. I'm not that mean. But anything that's current is there. And this is one that came back in, actually. I bought this back in about a month ago. And Veronica had great fun de-pilling it for me. Because let's face it, it is possum. So possum does. But look at that. Does that not look $1 million after a de-pill? It looks great, right? This is the Nanilchik Swan Show. This is by Caitlin Hunter. I did this. When did I do this, guys? A couple of years ago? At least 2 years, right? This, I love this, and I thrash it. This was one of those funny knits that I did that, as Ethan calls it, an outlier knit for Caitlin Hunter. It was quite different because she had a lot of crops, sweaters and cardigans and stuff. And I've got, like, if I want something cropped like that, I'll do a Miss Jane. I had 1 million of them. I didn't need any more. But I like the idea of this. And I'd never knitted a swancho before. I quite liked that sort of geometric color work. There's sort of, particularly this element, this cathedral type window here is quite Art Deco. These sorts of shapes are very Art Deco, which, I mean, I know that she was probably looking more towards North American artistry for her inspiration, but for me, I see Deco because I live in Napier, and I just like the idea of it. So anywho, I knitted it. My concern was the armholes down here, because the thing that I was worried about, and Margaret's just put it in the comments, she said circus tent for me, right, Marie? Actually, Margaret, not necessarily, because you and I are of a similar size. I don't find that was what stunned me, actually, when I wore it. It's really comfortable to wear, especially if I wear like another long t-shirt underneath and leggings. It just looked great on. But my worry was those arms, because I thought, will I be sort of like a bit like T-Rexy in those arms? Because of course the sleeve starts all the way down here, and it doesn't. It's actually really good. The one modification I did make, shocker, Marie made a modification. Who would have expected? And this was a conversation that I had with this lady and another lady in the shop, is I did put my swing back in, which is when I add a series of short rows to a hem. And I did it with Love Note, and I've also done it. I've done it in a few things now. I lose track. So what I do is, when you're a bit larger, like I am, and I'm moderately busted, but I am very tall. I've got broad shoulders, and I have an arse. People, shocker, I have an arse. So with a lot of sweaters, particularly if they finish around that below the hip bone, is when you're sort of built like me and you move around, you can get a riding up, because I am such quite broad-shouldered. You get a ride up as the garment pulls up on the shoulders. Now, if there is plenty of shoulder shaping, if they've done short row shoulder shaping in the top, which a lot of designers are now starting to do, which I love. I know Libby's doing it quite regularly now, and I've seen other designers do that. If they do put in sort of a wedge at the top for that shoulder shaping up there, then I'm as good as gold, because it counteracts that. But a lot of older designs don't. They don't have it. And so when you're someone built like me, with that, you get this lift because of the size and the width and breadth of your shoulders, that will lift the hemline at your back by about that much. So it just can look a little lopsided if you're a bit bigger. So what I do to compensate for that is I put in a series of short rows where essentially I go in up to usually about 3 or 4 centimeters, between the two halfway points if I'm knitting in the round. If it's knitted flat, that's easier. And I will go up to 3 or 4 stitches from the end, wrap and turn, go back to 3 or 4 stitches before the end. Usually, if I want it more shallow, I usually use 4 or 5. If I want it deeper, I'll use 3. And then I just keep going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards until I get to, if I want it nice and sort of not either, for example, if I've used 3 stitches, I will go to 6 stitches at the bottom. So there's 3 either side of the central point. If I want it just a subtle slope, I could actually take the amount and then actually double it either side. So if it's 3 stitches, then I'll go 6 stitches for 12 at the bottom. I mean, I will often look at it and just see how it looks. And I love it. And it just softens it, and often too when you wear it you don't necessarily notice it, but it just gives you that little bit of extra coverage across the back. So if you do get lift, or if you're doing stuff, lifting and moving and doing things, that you're not sort of exposing things around. So that's one of the little modifications that I make. And if you want it really subtle, often you won't necessarily notice it, but it does from a fit perspective make a real difference. But do look out if you've got a top-down garment and they've got some really good shoulder shaping, short row shoulders. God, there's another illiterate thing. Short row shoulder shaping at the top, then you tend not to need to do it. It looks really, really good. So if you fancy having a crack at something like the Ninil chip, which, to be fair, there's a lot of yarn in there, right? So if you're doing this at full price, I think I costed it out at the time. It was about $130 plus. It might have been more than that, actually. Might have been about $160 to knit if you're doing this at full price. Well, it's $6.95 from $9.95. I mean, that's a $3 saving. So that's a significant saving if you are wanting a Christmas project in Sockmatician. Definitely check that out today and make sure you stash that up and get a project in mind. So whether it be colour work, whether it be a poncho, whether it might be a full sweater, whether it be full ply or DK. Claire did her floozy in Sockmatician Edition, full ply. I love the full ply actually for any shawls or scarves. I've done it in I've done anything, Hitchhiker, I've done Niata, I've done heaps of them in that full play. It really is a great yarn. So if you have none in stash, if you're wanting to get some in to stash up, so you've got it. If you want an accessory project, look 3 to 4 balls for a simple shawl for the full ply. If you're wanting to do garment projects, 100 meters, it's 104 meters per 50 gram ball. So whatever DK project you have, you're good. And if you're wanting to do full ply for a project, 8 to 10 balls at 178 meters, depending on the size you need, will be sort of a good guesstimate for stashing if you haven't got a specific project in mind. So don't miss out on that one today. It's already going like hotcakes. I can let you know that the Featherston, I know definitely in the DK was sold out, and I think they were getting pretty close. Well, I saw Heather come out before and swipe all the stock off the shelf in the shop. So I think we will have sellout colours in this one. Now, the other thing that I brought up, if you've got some last minute Christmas gift knitting that you need to do, a couple of hat patterns just dropped in the last 24 hours from 2 of our absolute favourites. So I wanted to let you know about those. The first one is this one here, which is the Unspun Hero hat. When the first image of this came up in the Skeinz Speakeasy, so if you are a regular in the Speakeasy, you would have seen the progress on this hat. This is by Solange Thompson from Fantail. This is our roving. She's done this in our roving DK. It would also look incredible in Sockmatician. So there's the segue for that. but it looks amazing in the roving. She gave me some feedback. She said it was great to knit. She absolutely loved it. And as she has said with this, it's a cheerful stranded colourwork hat designed with unspun yarn, great for beginners with stranded colourwork with short floats and just enough colour to be fun but not too challenging. And the colours she's used there are Cumu, which is the lovely clay colour, Cromwell, which is this sort of beautiful apricot. Then we've got Golden Bay, and I think you've got a little bit of Alexandra in there as well, so it's a full colour hat. But you could easily do that as a 2-colour hat, no problem whatsoever. So the unspun hero hat is available. She's got great instructions, and best thing, this one is for free. Yeah, so do go in and give Solange a bit of love on that. And if you bought roving yarn during the spotlight in November and you're looking for something to do with it, this is a really great pattern to do. So do check that one out, the unspun hero hat. The other one I got, which was in my inbox this morning from one of our favourites, Cheryl Beckeridge. Excuse me. Cheryl, actually, you've been busy, Cheryl. You've been very busy. She had a new pattern release, actually, the Cascade Swancho, which she did for Cascade Yarns, which I think I featured in social media last week or the week before. I tell you what, that is fabulous for Sockmatician if you're looking for a Swancho. It's just a good, simple, fun, beautiful Swancho in Sockmatician and quick. That one will be an absolute sitter. So that's on the Cascade page. But she has done this one here called Solomon's Trellis. And this is a cable pattern that she's having a play around with at the moment. This is Southlander bulky because Cheryl has got a bit of an affinity and a love affair with our Southlander bulky. She's also done a cabled Swancho in this as well, and she said it's called a Celtic Solomon knot in it, and she said she's playing around with it and she's thinking she may do a sweater in it as well. It's utterly beautiful. It uses 100 grams of Skeinz Southlander bulky, so a single ball, and this one is available for purchase from her Wise Owl Knits web page, or you can get there via that Ravelry, but do check it out at Wise Owl Knits. And it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And for those who've never knitted a Cheryl pattern, she designed our entwined sweater, which we have here in store in Kelly & Co. Her patterns are very well written, so she does both written instructions and charted instructions for anyone that wants to do those, as well as really good decrease instructions. I know that when Ethan helped me lay out the entwined sweater, Ethan, for those that don't know, is his other job, as well as being an outlaw, is he's also a freelance tech editor, and he is super impressed with Cheryl's designing and her teching, because he said she is one of the best in terms of writing her patterns, so that's really good to know. So both of those have just dropped in the last 24 hours. Kathy's just saying that would probably be fab in Sockmatician too. Oh, she's put one up called Herb Garden Hat. Oh yeah, I saw that. Now that was that Baroque Pearls, Kathy? From memory, I think that's a new one that's just come out as well. There's some really, really great stuff being released at the moment, I have to say. And I know with Ravelry you can give those patterns around too. So if you're looking at a gift. The last thing I pulled up to show everybody, and I know this is going to seem crazy, but what made me think of it is I just had a customer before I came here who bought the replacement blades, and we were both having a love fest over our mutual fabric shavers. And I know this now, as we were both saying, she said, I love mine so much. And this is the gadget that you didn't know that you needed to know, that you didn't know you needed to know that you had to have. This is it. Trust me, you need this in your life. Believe me, you need this in your life. Why do you need this in your life? It's because this is simply the best fabric shaver that we have come across. And believe me, we have bought, trialed. I own several. worked with so many of them. I do have a little battery operated one which I travel with, which I've talked about before. I think it's in Vivo. I get it from Briscoe's. It's as cheap as chips if you kill it. I mean, I've never paid more than $20 for it. I think it's a little bit more than $20 now with the price increase, but it's Briscoe's. You never pay full price. And that thing is great, uses AA batteries, but you do need to, change it. This sucker, I love this so much, and it's because it uses mains power, so it never loses power, and the blades on it are replaceable. And we have got replacement blades in store, and it just all our knits, we use them on all our knits. I'll bring my knits in if I have them going into store for sampling. We just give them a quick zhuzh up. I've got stuff in there that is years old and look as good as the day it came off the needles because of this machine. Vicky, you were asking $69.95 is what this is, and it is the best thing ever. And the blades, replacement blades, I think are around $12. They're about, I think, $11.95 for the replacement blades. And the blades last for ages, absolute ages. We've not actually replaced the blades on ours here yet. And ours is, our shaver would be, I think, we bought it actually not long after we moved in here. So it'd be coming up it'd be 3 years old, our shaver. So we've got plenty of these in stock. You can see them over my shoulder there. This is, honestly, if you want to buy the world's most boring Christmas present for yourself, this is it. But trust me, you will love it. This is the Christmas present you didn't know you needed to have. And I just wanted to let you know that we've got them in, because it is seriously the most satisfying thing. Every winter coming into, it was usually actually every autumn, I do refresh my knits. I'll go through a refreshment program of my knits to wear into the winter. Oh yeah, there we go. Bev's saying hers is 2 years old. She's not replaced the blades yet. Yeah, they're solid and steel. They last for ages. And I go through a refreshment program. So I'll go through everything. I'll see what needs reblocking, see what needs a bit of a freshen up or a launder, and a depil. Because I don't wash. Actually, this is something I will talk about too with washing. Someone asked me the other day, how they were talking about. They wanted something to be machine washable for the washing, and I said, well, yes, you can, but it's not like something like this that you wash after one wear or two wears. I've got garments. I mean, I can't. So this, for example, it got wet blocked when it was made, and it's never been washed since. Right? So we have a tendency to over launder our clothing, and especially our knits. So, and if it's 100% wool, other than the fact if you've slopped your dripper and things are need a bit of help, and most often you can just spot clean that. I've got garments that I can tell you are more than a decade old and may have only been washed twice in their life. So what I do is I tend to air a lot of my garments like that. So I will just put them out on their hangers, put them on a clothes horse out in a clear, airy space, and I will air them out. If they just look a touch grubby, often that will be on the fluff of the surface, the fibre. That's where this little baby comes into play, because of course that shaves all of that off and it has it looking absolutely fantastic again. If it's a garment that's like a good robust wool, so I'm talking Southland to Perrindale, anything like that, and non-machine wash treated too. Non-machine wash treated yarns actually need less laundering than those who are machine wash treated, because they tend to repel, just the nature of the yarn, repel dirt and muck and grime. I've got stuff that I've knitted, like I know I've got one sweater that I knitted for my husband, will be almost 20 years ago. It could even be 20 years old. And I know it's only been washed twice in its life. And it still looks, it's in Southland, and it still looks as good as the day it comes off the needles. And I give it a zhuzh up with the depiller probably every second year. just to freshen it up. So, yeah, you just need to make sure that you, yeah, don't rush out and think, oh gosh, it's going to be high care and maintenance. I mean, a yarn like Sockmatician is probably one of the high maintenance yarns out there because of the short possum fiber. But honestly, a little zhuzh up with a fabric shaver and it looks fantastic, and it doesn't require loads of washing. I mean, I've got a Miss Jane, which is in the precursor yarn to Sockmatician Edition, and I knitted that not long after it came out. So I think that pattern came out in 2000 and I want to say 2012. It could even more, might be '08 actually. It's a long time, and I knitted that all the way back then. And I know for a fact I've only washed that for its second. It had its second laundering this year. It was in the refresh program for this coming winter. So if you are looking at a way to extend the life of your woolies and your knits, definitely the shaver is to do it. And yeah, not washing them too often is a really good idea. Right, I'm going to head off and relieve poor Cheryl because I've gone and dragged her out in the shop so I could come and talk to you guys. And I am going to, so if you're in town, come visit me because I'm in the shop all day today. I'm going to see if I can make sure everything balances 2 days running. I managed to do that on Tuesday, and Heather thought that was a miracle because I'm the mistress of stuffing things up. So yes, so I'm in the shop today, and I will not be back. That's what I will. A couple of things to tell you. One, I won't be here on Monday. I'm going to be doing the diaries on Tuesday. I've got a few personal things that I need to attend to on Monday. So, but that's even better because I can tell you all about Stitchin Summer on Tuesday. So I'll be here Tuesday, Thursday next week. So I'll talk to you then. If you're wanting to get things ordered to get to you pre-Christmas, if you are international, you need to get your skates on and make sure it happens now. We haven't had word from DHL when the cutoffs are, but we will be getting close, I would have thought. If you are here in New Zealand, we are saying rural delivery by lunchtime Monday, South Island by lunchtime Tuesday, and North Island by lunchtime Wednesday. But I mean that's the time frames that we've got from the New Zealand couriers. Of course, these things can all turn to custard, but that's our rough rule of thumb. So if you're wanting to get things in for pre-Christmas deliveries, do make sure you do those. But remember, we are open the 3 days in the gaps, both between Christmas and New Year and between New Year, the New Year holiday. And we will be dispatching on those non-stat days. We are going to be closed Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we're going to do the full 4-day weekend for the crew. So we won't be here either of those days, but we will be, as I said, open those 3 days in the gap. So on that note, I will see you again on Tuesday. And until then, take care.